in a world.
Top of the top, brother.
Top of the top. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm solid gold, man. Solid gold. I got a little coffee today.
A little coffee? How you drink your coffee?
Just a little bit of creamer. Generally, I like it. I feel like if I had a creamer, I'm not as jittery. I don't know.
Is it nut pods?
It is. It is not. It's a non-dairy hazelnut.
Yeah. I like that stuff. I love hazelnut.
And what I do is I put it in the coffee cup first, and then brew the coffee. So then it doesn't cool it down. And it mixes it. I don't have to stir it.
Yep.
I don't have to do anything.
That's good, man.
What do you put in your Diet Coke?
Diet Coke. Ice cubes, lots of cubes.
You can drink a hot backpack Diet Coke too.
No problem. Yeah.
Bro.
No problem. It's a sickness.
Yeah, you're a caveman.
Captain Caveman. Remember that cartoon?
Come on, bro. I remember everything.
Hanna-Barbera. Well, I think we got some fun stuff to talk about. What's on the agenda for today?
Man, let's talk about feedback.
Feedback. We're talking about feedback.
We talking about feedback? Yeah, let's talk about feedback and how sometimes people struggle to give it.
Oh yeah. A lot of
or receive it.
It'd be a big scary topic.
Scary Terry. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
So yeah, the whole deal is that I think it's divided into two parts. There are people who there are people who don't like to get feedback. And then there are people who are afraid to give it as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's that difficult, crucial conversation thing, right? It's like uncomfortable, and genuine.
Yeah, and it's just, I feel like the industry has turned, and we've seen so many different pieces of it. But number one, you have to give feedback if you want to be successful. You have to be able to receive feedback as well. And what I found, we've talked about it in Tough Talk. People don't want to give constructive feedback at all. They don't. And, number one, I think, let's start with people who don't want to receive feedback. Right. Why do you think people are afraid? Like, you do a presentation and then somebody goes, hey, I got some feedback for you. Or you're on a sales call and your manager or partner is like, hey, I got some feedback for you. And then, people tense up and their heart rate goes up. Why do you think people don't want that?
My theory is that it's kind of that imposter syndrome thing. It's like, oh no, they're about to see through the smoke and mirrors that I just parlayed. I'm not really good at what I'm doing. There's cracks in the wall and people are about to tell me that I'm a fraud.
There's a lot of fear.
Yep.
Yeah, people are afraid. And, you talked about it. I think it's the white coat syndrome, too. Right.
For sure.
Like, is this the end? No, it's just feedback.
Right.
Right. There's people who play in the NFL and they have to come back and look at film. And a lot of times now right on the field.
Yes.
Right. They're right on the field. They're looking at an iPad and you're like, you did this wrong. Right. You read this the wrong way. You threw it to the wrong person. Take it and move it forward.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, it reminds me of being when I was a swimmer back in the day or in running, and the coach would be like, hey, let's break down your stroke or let's break down your stride. And be like, OK, you're rotating here a little early. Or if you pull your shoulder into the water, elbows down, you're going to get a lot more power. Try it that way next time. Let's look at it. That's just feedback, man. It's just helping you to improve. Would you want to walk around all day with mustard on your face or your fly unzipped? No, you would want somebody to stop and be like, hey, bro, you got a little something going on.
You got something going on. There's something on your shirt, And I think one of the other things is people think feedback is confrontation.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not. It shouldn't be.
Mm-hmm.
But that comes from how you receive it, but it also comes with how you give it.
It is how you give it. And I think that's how a lot of people take it because of the demographics and how they were raised.
Mm-hmm.
Like, did your parents yell and scream at you?
Correct.
Right. So if you did something wrong, it was a beating at the end of it.
Right. So you're like,
yeah,
it's coming.
Yeah. Or, if you did something wrong, did your previous boss or your first boss yell and scream?
Sure.
Alexei, you're putting the milk on the wrong shelf. You're shelving the pots wrong.
Idiot.
Yeah. And now people are afraid.
Why would you do that? Who does that?
So, I think, people are afraid because of past experiences. And to your point, nobody wants to show that they may be lacking in an area.
Nobody.
And it's like, it's the most insane thing in the world. We're all human.
Mm-hmm.
We're all human at every level. And that's what people don't understand. Somebody comes and hires you to be a CEO of a hospital, right? That's amazing. So you've probably gone through a 6-7 month interview process.
Oh, a long time.
Panel of interviews.
Yep.
People all in your background, massive background checks, just really pulling up the covers, looking under the bed, seeing everything, everything you got in every nook and cranny. And then you get the job.
Right.
Well, yes, that's a great accomplishment, but now the work begins. And
That's right.
the first thing that hospital does for that new CEO, they get him an executive coach.
They get him an executive coach. I love it.
They get him an executive coach. And it's like, you just bit off a huge chunk.
Right.
So you need a coach to help you maneuver, because you're going to make some missteps.
Yeah.
You're going to cut overtime for some people. That's not the right thing to do. And you're going to give overtime to some people, and it's not the right. You're never going to be able to please everybody.
That's right.
So I'm playing ring around the rosy on that one. But the whole point is that everybody has an opportunity to improve their skill set.
Everybody.
So, for those of us who are afraid of it, you say this all the time. Like, I respect people who look at your work and give you that constructive criticism.
Yeah, almost to a point where I don't trust you until you don't, until you have.
Right. And what does that constructive criticism do for you?
It does a bunch of things. One, I have a hard time thinking that I definitely run into the issue where, like, if let's say I'm cooking dinner for a bunch of people. If I don't get a bunch of compliments, I think I screwed up. I'm like, and I don't need the compliments, but I need some feedback to make sure, like, I didn't overcook this, or that's too squishy, or this doesn't taste good. I'm like so worried about, to a fault, I admit, but I'm so worried about what they're thinking. But like relieved when people are like, this is good, but this could be a little better. I'm like, oh, okay, I can work with that. I'm like, okay, this is good. Living in that vacuum, I'm going to make up horror stories in my head. And so when somebody gives me feedback, I love getting my shine and having the spotlight on me. I live in that moment, but I'm just as happy to be like, this worked out, but maybe tweak these things for next time. Yeah. I'm like, oh, great.
So what's more important to you? Is it making the meal or getting the positive? Oh my God, that was delicious. What's more
That's
important?
A great question. I don't know, because Sarah and I, we love doing Thanksgiving. We get crazy. I don't know the answer to that question. I love them both a lot, but I would think that I think I enjoy cooking more. because I think the end result is a little more stressful. So I think I appreciate the cooking, because in that moment I'm just like getting it done, doing this. This is going to be great. And then when we go to serve, I'm like, oh boy, is it going to be any good? Did it turn out okay? Mm-hmm. So probably the cooking part.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So, and that's interesting, because a lot of people, I think that plays into that fear. And that's kind of why I asked you that question, is because some people live in a world where it's just got to be like, oh, you look so nice, or, oh, if you lost weight, and oh, that presentation was so good. That's not reality, folks.
No, it is not.
It's not. It's not. And everybody isn't here to pump up your ego.
Pump up the jam. No, they are not.
And yeah,
they don't owe you that.
They don't owe you that. And some people are there like, look, I got to get this project done because it's part of my, it's part of my set goals.
Yeah.
That I have to do for, I'm here for business, not to make you feel better. Mm-hmm. And we can't wrong those people for doing that.
Nope.
That's just like, you call somebody to your house to do some yard work, and you're like, ooh, I've been really working on my garden, and they're there to do yard work. But you're like, are you going to compliment? Look what I've done here. And they're like, listen, I'm here to dig this ditch.
Right.
I could care less about, your radishes and your flowers, your sunflower. I don't care about that.
Right.
And so I think us as receivers of feedback, we have to, you kind of got to check your ego at the door too.
Yes.
Right? Because it's not a realistic world that you're just going to be doted over by the person that you're working with.
Correct. And for those that are really good at getting feedback, you can't always expect or assume that it's going to be there, because that's, you can't put that on somebody else. Like, hey, give me the feedback. What's going on? That might be too much for somebody, or they may have just been in the moment and they weren't thinking about, was this good or was this bad? So don't burden somebody else. If you become an expert at getting feedback and you've overcome that hurdle of, now I'm not afraid of it anymore, that's great. But don't walk around demanding it either.
Yeah. Don't demand it. And I think, I think another thing is, and I think this flips on both sides. Like, right now we're talking about people who are afraid of receiving feedback, but I think it flips on both sides, because the people who are afraid of receiving feedback, they definitely don't want to give it.
100%.
Right. So you create this vicious cycle amongst yourself, like, oh, I don't want to hear any negative feedback. So then, because I don't want you bringing that to my doorstep, I'm not going to bring it to you.
Yep.
And listen, if you're in a place like that, you're on dangerous ground.
Totally.
Right. Because that's how relationships falter. That's how companies fall down, because nobody's saying the tough stuff. Okay.
Yep.
If you're walking around, I always say the people who are going to tell you something on your face, those are the real people.
Yes.
Or your collar is all jacked up. Those are, hey man, come here, let me fix your collar. And then you're like, I've been in a room with people for a day and nobody has said anything.
Couldn't agree more.
So the person who comes up to you and be like, hey man, because I'm kind of like your beard police. I'm like, bro, you got nachos. You got a whole plate of nachos in your beard.
You got the look and it works. I'm like, and you kind of do the little nod. I'm like, okay, I got it.
Okay, bro. You got a burrito in your beard.
Maybe some guacamole over there.
So you've got these folks that are creating a cycle, and you got to find a way to break from it.
Got to break
it. Because it's a fear of conflict, and it's not conflict.
No, it is not.
Listen, people, feedback is feedback. It's
It's
not.
not
It's
good
not.
or bad.
It's not good or bad. It's what you choose to do with the information. It could make you feel embarrassed. Okay,
Nothing wrong with that.
bro, it looks like you sat in some chocolate. How embarrassing is that?
But at least know
Right?
that you're not going to be
Somebody's-
seen in front of a bunch of other people.
Yeah, you're like, oh my God, it looks like I pooped my pants or I got chocolate on me. Yes, it's chocolate on me. But it's not good or bad. It's what you choose to do with it. If somebody
Exactly.
says, hey, that was a great presentation, you said a lot of ums.
Yeah.
Take it.
Yep.
Take it. I'll date myself here. And, there was this back when I first became a manager, right? And this is when we first got Blackberries, bro. So this tells
Blackberries.
you there was a phase we didn't have company phones.
Mm-mm.
It was just you got a laptop and that was it. And as
And a
soon as we
pager.
got that, and we didn't even have texting or anything, but I was addicted to checking the emails.
Yep.
And to be perfectly honest, this person that I was working with, they weren't the best. I was on my way to trying to work this person out, but they gave me some feedback. They were like, you always on that phone. And I was like, listen, it doesn't matter if it comes from the president of the company or somebody that's on a performance improvement plan. Take that feedback to heart.
Always.
Take that feedback to heart. And then once you can take all feedback as juice and energy for you to get better,
Yep.
then you'll crave it.
But yeah, exactly. Yep.
I want it. Like, how did I do? No. What could we have done better?
Yep.
And that can be transferred into every relationship. You can ask and it's some scary shit, but ask your kid, hey, what can I do to be a better dad? And you're like, whoa. Your heart is pumping. You're like, what are you going to say? But they'll tell you.
Yeah.
Ask your spouse, and that's the deal is, listen, feedback is about what happened.
Yep.
It's already done. You can't change it.
Yeah. May as well live.
You
May as well improve it.
You might as well embrace it.
Exactly.
I mean, to me, the most critical feedback in any sport is boxing.
Tell me more.
Well, you could have your entire family behind you, celebrities and everything. And you go get up in that ring and everybody's going to know who won.
Everybody.
Right? Especially if you get knocked out. You know how many mothers and fathers have seen their children get laid out?
Yeah.
That's instant feedback. So what do you say to that person?
Sorry, Mom.
It's like, hey, bro, get him. Yeah, okay, listen, I told you, put that left hand up.
I told you.
I told you. Right? So boxers go in and there's no lying. There's no like, oh, well, they didn't throw me the ball. No, this dude laid you out.
It's not a team sport.
Right? And I've seen old fights where moms are coming up and they're throwing the towel in or they're like fighting the other person. We have to treat ourselves like boxers.
Yeah.
And so since it happened, it's gone. It's over. You can't change it.
Nope.
Embrace the feedback as a gift. So now as you move forward, you're like, such and such told me this. I'm going to work on it. So it's all mental,
Oh,
so
yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing with you.
Yeah. Past negative experiences jam us up.
Yep.
Right. And I get it. We talked about horrible bosses. There's some people out there that did you dirty, and that's good. But again, what did I say? Past. Don't bring the past into the present. So because somebody else yelled at you, don't get mad at me because I'm giving you feedback.
No, it's all about accountability.
Yeah.
Anytime somebody gives you something good or bad, always look for the accountability. And this is, obviously there's the easy one, right? It's like, hey, you could have, you didn't do this, or you haven't been paying attention. It's like, oh, let me look at that. But that goes another step. That's the easy one. The other side is when somebody's given you good feedback, look for your accountability in that too, and be like, hey, was that just me? Did I really do a good job? Did I phone it in? Did I have a lot of support? Maybe I better say, actually that was Jen's job. And she really was the one that opened that up. So she gets out there too. It's all about looking at this and going, what was my place and my piece in that success or failure?
Well said. Yeah. So don't just take all the gold for yourself and then try and run, from the constructive stuff.
Exactly.
The other piece, I'd like to just say as we're kind of closing out on receiving feedback, just receiving feedback is, people think that skills play a role in it.
Yep.
And so if your skills, if you're sensitive or nervous about something, about the skills in your toolbox, then that's your job to bolster them.
That's a sign.
It's your job. So, and what happens is you've got tons of people out here that are doing their best to help you. And essentially what you're doing is you're pushing them away because you've got all these issues. And people are like, I'm just trying to help. And you're taking it personal because you don't know the data.
Exactly.
Or you don't know how to use the system. You're crappy at using Excel. So if somebody tells you something, you're like, go take an Excel class.
Go get better at Excel.
Go get better.
Yeah.
So it's all personal stuff.
Yep.
Take the emotions out of it. Anything else you would want to do it. I think you take critical feedback in any type of way at your home, right? Like your electric bill is feedback.
Yes.
And here in the summer, if I have guests, you can see the bill, right? We're cutting the air down. People are in and out. People are washing.
That hot tub's been running all night.
Hot tub's running. You know what I'm saying? It's people are using energy. And so and what do you do with that? Holy cow, look at this electric bill. Woo!
Yep.
We must have been partying.
What are you going to do with that?
What are you going to do? Cry about that? No. You're going to pay the bill. And you're like, oh, okay. And so what do you then do? Maybe you make some alterations.
Right.
It's like, oh, okay. Just maybe I don't have the air on 72. Maybe I put it on 73. Or tell people, as classic Black family, be like, close that door. You letting all the air out.
My scenario is, unless something's broken, unless there's a pipe broken or something's, out of the norm, you should have an idea in your head that is like, ooh, you know what? We've been having a run this month. This one's going to sting a little, but I know why, and I know how I got there. So all good. And, so get to a point where you can anticipate that stinger coming.
You had it right in the right direction, because I was going to close out the receiving feedback piece with self-analyzation.
Yes.
If you're self-analyzing and you're taking a hard look in the mirror, the stuff that somebody's going to come and tell you.
Sing it.
And so the people who are so afraid, the pathway forward is to self-analyze. Do your own review. Do your own after action review for yourself and be like, okay, I was janky on a few slides. I stumbled on this information, right? I over talked my customer, whatever it is, you do it, figure out what you can work on better. And what that does now, if somebody else comes in, what you're doing is you're validating the fact that you're onto something in terms of future improvement. And then if they give you something else, then throw that in the bag too.
Exactly. Watch your own film. And when you do get that feedback, say, hey, you know what? You're right. I was thinking about that. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much. It was the best thing I could have ever did as a as a brand new sales rep, it's weird, you know. One going away when I became a farmer rep, they sent me away for 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like one of these deals. Like you had to quit your job to join this company, but then you still had to go 3 weeks and pass the test.
Right.
And back then, if you didn't pass the test, you was headed to the cut
Immediately.
and you didn't have a gig. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So when you come out, it's those rides with your boss are intimidating, and they're made to be like that.
Mm.
So what would happen would be, oh, you riding with Tom? And my first manager was Tom. And they're like, everybody would be like, you riding with them? Oh, he was tough. Man, you better make sure you know this study. And you better make sure you know that. You going, take him somewhere. And I was like, listen, I am not going to be, I'm not going to be nervous Purvis Ellison out here. And I would go with Tom, and Tom would, after the first ride, Tom would give me the feedback. Mm-hmm. And after that, I would be like, okay, here's what I need to work on. I started telling him. Okay. And then, over the course of a month, our whole engagement changed, because what he saw is that I was self-correcting. And that's what every leader wants their people to do, is to be able to self-correct. Why are people riding with you? Because they're coming to get a pulse. How you doing? What's going on? Okay, so if you fumbling, bumbling, stumbling in front of me, then what are you doing by yourself?
Exactly.
But if I come with you and it's like smooth sailing, people know who you are. It's follow up. Hey, man, last week you was here. That was some nasty cheesecake you brought us for lunch. You know what I'm saying? Now it's like, oh, okay, this guy is moving and grooving. He's shaking. He's meeting people.
That's right.
But the whole point is I was correcting myself. And so you'll be able to take feedback if you correct yourself, if you take a hard look in the mirror, and then you start putting down the bullets and checks. Don't walk around thinking, as they say, your stuff don't stink.
Mm-hmm.
It does.
Oh, everybody's does. Always anticipate that you're going to have the question asked, how do you think you did? And have an answer, and have a real, honest answer.
And if it was solid gold, you say, man, I'm open to feedback, but I felt really good and confident about that.
Exactly.
And you'll be amazed with if you really felt like that, then you'll be good.
That's right. Accountability. So
let's switch it up real quick.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So why are people afraid of giving it? Because that's the super epidemic. I mean, people are, on the flip side, they got white coat syndrome. They don't want it. But now you've got people in roles, people in situations where feedback is important. Why do you think people don't want to give it?
I think it's people have, let me break this down a little bit. It's that confrontation. They're worried that the person isn't going to be very receptive to it. Or
now we're not going to be friends.
Right. It's like, oh, am I going to piss this person off and they're not going to want to talk to me anymore? And, all of those things just point to a direction. If you come from a place of integrity and a place of honesty, and you're not being an ass, right? And you don't need to coat it with honey and frosting. But if you're like, hey, this was good, but maybe this wasn't. And if that is not taken well, then maybe you need to examine that relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's the fear of conflict. And then, you can't be a leader if you can't give feedback.
No,
I've seen more leaders get put out to pasture because they can't tell somebody, hey, why are you at the meeting?
Yep.
Oh, well, the person who managed me before this, they allowed me to do that. No, I don't do that.
No.
Right. It's the same thing. Like we talked about it. It's people join new teams. Oh, I was on the Giants. Now I'm on the Raiders. You go to the Raiders and they're like, well, spouses aren't allowed on the team plane. You're like, oh. But what I'm gonna do? Let you walk on there with your spouse and everybody else can't have it? No.
No, you are not.
So it's fear conflict. And you have to be able to do it. And so what I would say is first change your perspective, right? You got to change your perspective. Like, look at it as an opportunity for growth and improvement versus a neg. Hey man, and you can paraphrase it. Here's an opportunity for growth.
Yep.
Here's an opportunity for growth and improvement. Here it is.
Yeah, they're all little coaching sessions.
Yeah, consider practicing, right? And then if you still got nerves, role play it.
Mm-hmm.
I got to give some feedback. I'm a little nervous about it. This is my homeboy. I said that, this person's going to, take my job and this and that. And I don't want to ruin their trajectory. No. So find a homeboy or homegirl to practice it with.
Anticipation and accountability. Play that conversation through in your mind. Play a little chess match with yourself and be like, hey, if I say this, how are they going to receive that? Maybe I better prop this up. Maybe I better talk about a couple of things and then get to the dirty and then be ready, to see them crash and then anticipate that, or be like, oh, okay, let's start out with the bad and then let's talk about all this good and end on a high note. Play a little chess match in your head first.
Yeah. You said it right. Give them the feedback sandwich. Start off with something positive, then the area of opportunity, and then finish off with a positive.
Exactly.
Right. Hey man, you did. I thought this went great. All of this was super. Here's room to get better. Right.
Yep.
And it's all about wording. So then you tell them that, and then if you do this, then we're gonna be solid gold. Boom. That's a perfect feedback sandwich. And then go ahead.
Let me give an example. My friend made cookies the other day, and we're very open and honest with each other. And so
what type of cookies?
Chocolate chip.
Okay. All right.
Chocolate chip. And
continue.
And I was like, okay, let's break this down. And so I'm like I'm like, oh, okay. Mm-hmm. In my mind, I'm immediately going, okay, it's a little bit undercooked, but I don't mind a gooey cookie.
Gooey.
It needs maybe a little more salt. And gosh, I wish it had more vanilla. But immediately I go, okay. I say, ooh, you know what? This is pretty damn decent. And then I go, it could maybe use a little bit more of this and a little bit more of that. But oh yeah, this texture is good, man. These chocolate, this is like Ghirardelli chocolate, isn't it? Say, yes, it is. Oh, okay, yeah, cool. Wow. It's like, what kind of vanilla did you use? Oh, I used vanilla paste. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I like that texture. And so
you didn't go, don't ever do that again.
No. And learned a lot. I actually learned something about it because I didn't know about vanilla paste.
Yeah, I love it. And then, that's a perfect sandwich, right? A perfect feedback sandwich. And then the other thing is you have to create a routine.
Oh yeah.
It's got to be, you can't hold on to feedback forever. And my rule is quick and fast. When it's happening on a break, hey, you got 5?
That's how you get ulcers if you hang on to that stuff.
Bro, you grow a tumor like that. So I'm not going to wait around for it. Hey, real quick. Hey, gang, we got a 15-minute break. I'm going to catch you for 5 of those.
That's right.
Real quick. Hey, just real quick. Put your phone down. Pay attention. You real loose with it. And let's get back in there and knock them out.
Turn the squelch down.
Yeah. Just stop screaming at people. Put in your hearing aid. You know what I'm saying?
Turn up your bell tone.
So don't wait around on it.
No.
Because then you build up nervousness. You build up animosity. And again, sometimes some feedback you're going to have to get. It's going to be tough sometimes.
Yeah.
Some feedback is number. Hey, we're not hitting the plan as stated.
Right.
And
critical.
It's time critical. Sometimes you're going to have to lay it down for adults and be like, hey, here it is. This is what you're going to get. And the same for kids. Hey, here's the deal. You stay on this path. I don't know what the hell you're going to do, but I've done it.
And on the flip side, if you get feedback that's like, and it's like a week or two from the scenario, it's like, how long? Why were you hanging on to that long? Is it that bad? What happened?
And you know what's worse about that is everybody misremembers.
Everybody, I'm like, I thought I was doing amazing. What are you talking about?
I didn't do that.
Exactly.
You got to catch it quick.
Yeah.
You got to catch it quick. So, get that feedback soon. And then after the feedback, here's where you really step your game up.
Yep.
You seek feedback on your feedback.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Master
how'd
play.
How'd you feel about the conversation? And then, so how can I improve?
Right.
Giving you feedback. So take accountability.
All about that accountability.
And then now you're going to be like, okay, well, next time, don't give me that feedback in front of everybody, right?
Don't do.
There you go. I teed you up.
We talked about that, right? And we talk about that all the time. I think it's like, praise in public and condemn in private. And condemn in private.
You only pull your belt out when the door is closed, right?
Exactly.
That's it. But in public, you're like, ooh, them cookies is delicious.
That's right.
Right. So, yeah, hopefully that helps. When you are, and what you're doing is you're showing them that you're open to it, because sometimes it's a one-way street, right?
Yep.
But I'd like to keep it. I like to make sure the saloon door swings both ways.
Got to keep that info flowing.
And so for team leaders, there's a situation. For the most part, you're giving a lot of the feedback. Every now and then you got to ask, you got to give yourself a 360. You got to ask people, what can I do different? And you might hear something.
Yes.
They might be like, hey, that 6 a.m. call.
Bogus.
Can we do that on another day?
Right.
Because of X, Y. And you might be like, oh, okay. That might work out better for you.
What was I thinking?
So feedback is feedback.
It is. All right, man.
You can get with this or you can get with that. You can get with this or you can get with that.
You ready for some this or that?
Or that. This or that. I'm ready.
I'm going to go dark again. So,
okay, here we go. I knew it.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a tough one.
Dark man cometh.
I think I know your answer, though. You have to pick one.
Okay.
Who would you rather die first, you or your spouse?
Oh, Jesus. I got to stay here. So it's my spouse, bro. I got to be the last man. I got to listen. You remember that Twilight Zone? Remember, it was like the last guy on the planet. It was nobody else there.
Yeah.
And then he was like, oh, and I can read all the books and it's quiet. And then something happened and he stepped on his glasses.
Yeah.
And then his glasses broke. And he was like, no. Yeah, no. That's why I always tell people, if I'm out of here and it's like, it's, the authorities are wondering what happened, I didn't do it. Okay. Because I'm trying to be the last man standing. I'm trying,
exactly.
Even though it scares the hell out of me, but I will be I Am Legend in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Running around, dancing with mannequins. You?
That was my fear in asking this question. I'm like, ooh, I don't know.
Well, once you say this, you're going to get some negative feedback from Sarah.
Exactly.
Yeah, you better not answer. I don't want to get you in trouble.
Yeah. I think it would be easier. I think it would, I don't know. I think
the regional meeting.
Yeah. I think it'd be better if she died first.
Yeah. I'm trying to be here, bro. I love everybody.
Yeah.
But everybody ain't gonna make it on the same tip. That's why we gotta do everything we can to make sure we can stay here as long as possible.
All the time.
Man, you are There's a rapper called LA the Dark Man. That is you.
That is me. I will go dark. I will go deep.
All right, bro. I appreciate you as always.
Appreciate you, bro.
Peace.
Peace.